wood turners, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. Pretty regular basis, we get into a project where we flip something around and we're going to dress off the bottom or clean it up, and I tell you we're going to go get a soft touch. Yeah. And I'm always getting emails, hey Cap, will you make some for me? No. How do you make them? That one I can answer. So I tell you what, we're going to talk about soft touches, how you can make them and what they're good for. And all you got to do, remember this, watch. This is a one-way revolving center. You see how that center spins? It's got a couple of bearings in this housing. This is the slickest thing you can have if you're turning wood. This is it. Now, there's a hole in here, and that hole goes this rod to stop this from spinning. Okay? Why do you want to stop it from spinning? Well, that's to put on a couple of attachments. Say you're doing something and you need a larger cone to fit into the end of it to line it up. Alright? I've just turned something. I want to put it back between centers. That will fit to line it back up again. Alright, that's one. Number two, I want to turn something and I can't get it to center up right, and I can't go inside to hold it like that, so I want to go around the outside. Voila. Yeah, let me back up a little bit so you can see it. This will go in there to help center it back up. Okay? This also cup around a ball, a sphere, ball, whatever. Alright, now the other direction, this is really cool, because the other way, like this, I can go inside something again to line it up. So that's what these aluminum parts are great for, to do that. But they're aluminum. If you go up against them and cut them, you're going to cut aluminum. No big deal. Even stainless steel, even high-speed steel will cut aluminum. But here's the one I like. This is what I call the soft touch. The lines only give you an idea that it's actually spinning, so you don't get focused and don't see the wood when the wood stops. Say I'm turning this cup back and I want to clean up this bottom, which I actually did using this. I can come up to it, push it up on the jam chuck over here, and clean up this bottom. And if I make contact here, I've just made contact with wood. And if I cut it, whoop-dee. I get all choked up over this, I really do. Alright, so this is what I call a soft touch. Now, if you're paying somebody to make one, you've got more money than good common sense. So, you're in the shop, let's make one. Alright, it's not a complex deal. You're looking at it. You see that? We're going to get into what that is and how you got to cut it and all that. And it's relatively simple. So, stand by. We're going to do some machining on wood. That thread size. That is 3/4 10 common machine tap. Common thread, not pipe thread. 3/4 10. You see it? It's written right here. 3/4 10. Alright? High-speed steel tap. This looks really exotic, huh? Okay, did you know they sell exotic things like this at your local Ace Hardware store? They really do. 3/4 10 tap. That's what we're going to tap this wood with, right there. Now, you can go to a catalog service, and I really should put this in my fall catalog, huh? You can go to a catalog service and buy this tap, and it'll be shipped to you for about $35. Okay, you can go to your local Ace Hardware store and tell them you want one. They will order it from their supplier. They will get it in about a week when their next order comes in, and it will cost you about $17. And you kept your money local. Yeah, look at that, okay? That's as exotic as it gets. A 3/4 10 machine tap. Now, we have the tap. We got to get the wood and put the hole in it. What we're going to do now is drill it out. I have 1.5" by 1.5" by 2" side grain. See that? Side grain piece. I'm going to put it in my spigot jaws. Now, if you don't have this, you can do it in a drill press. You can do this whole thing in your drill press. You're just going to hold this, drill a hole, and then using, well, you'll see. Let's first drill a hole. And we need to have this hole about 1.25 3/8 deep. Okay, lock my tailstock. Speed is about 500 RPMs. Using a Forstner bit. This is a 5/8 Forstner bit. Tell you what, get out your Funkin' Wagnalls and see what size power hole you should have for a 3/4 10. And then realize you don't have that size bit that'll drill it. So go ahead and drill a 5/8 and you'll learn it works quite well. That is 1 inch and it will clog. And we're going to go 1.25 inches. Alright. Why? Well, because the tip on the center is 1 1/8 inches. If we bottom out, we'll tear out the threads. So, we're there. Right? Almost. Here's our tap. Our tap goes in here. This is all in the way? Not really. I'm going to lock it down. You got to see this. You see that? That's going to help us make this thing go straight. Now, don't turn your lathe on. Okay? Now, if you can lock your headstock, lock your headstock. If you can't, you got to grow a third arm. But, hey, you're an ingenious kind of guy. Alright? Now, use an open-end wrench. If you do this with a crescent wrench, a vice grip, or a ratcheting punch, it won't be the same. Yeah, it will. Okay. I love it when people say, you got to do it like this. You don't have to do anything. Okay. Now, you can't see the other hand. Let's get this back. Watch. As I'm going in, I am slowly advancing my center. Why? Because I want to keep that center mark. I don't want this, see, if I keep going like this, it pulls away from the center mark. The lateral push on this will break the threads and tear it out. Remember, you don't want that to happen. So, over here, I got to get you where you can see this. Now, right there, see that mark? Right there? That's my stopping point. If I don't mark that stopping point, the threads will just tear themselves out. So, as I'm going in, I am advancing the hand wheel. I'm using my open-end wrench, not my crescent or my ratcheting or my whatever. I'm using this, and I'm going to watch that mark. And I'm not going to put it too deep. I only need it that deep. If I go too deep, I'll tear the threads out. Again, we don't want that to happen. It's not a fast project, but in a few minutes, we'll have one done. When you've hit the bottom, and you'll know it, or when you get to the mark, then you want to ease this out. Now, the same way it went in, you don't want to put a lot of lateral pressure on this and destroy the threads. Okay? So, we want to very gently remove this tap from our piece. The denser the wood, like a mahogany or something else that's got great strength of threads, of grain, the better it will be. Alright? Now, just back it out slowly. Now, you essentially have threads down in there. Look at that. Alright? Step 2. Those are the threads. This is super thin super glue. What does that do? That strengthens up those threads. Makes them a little more resilient. Now, if you really want to screw up big time, take it now and thread it on that next part. And then you get to break it off and start all over again. This has to cure. You can accelerate it, you can what it, you can do whatever you want, but this has to cure. I'm going to take my accelerator. Think you can hear it, but it's sizzling away. It's curing. All right, that's critical. That tightened up the threads. I'm going to go back on the tap for the next step. I'm going to thread it all the way on there. Okay, then I'm going to thread it off, just to make sure it didn't bind up. All right, we're okay. I'm going to bring up my revolving center, put a little bit of pressure on it. Now that's my tap that I put in there. You can use a 3/4 10 bolt. You can get it at the hardware store, but you got to cut the head off and everything like that. But guess what? The tap works really well for this. This is tool rest, revolving center, roughing gouge, lathe gets turned on, speed comes up to about 600 RPMs, and we knock down the corner. Whoa. Tail starts walking away a little bit. When I get into making these, I do them in production. I'll do a dozen or two. I'll drill a hole through the bottom, put them on a string and hang them up out the way. When I need one, it's there. Round it. See, it was a junk piece of lumber. See that? Now, because I normally never want them round square on the end. See, if I keep going to make contact with that, that's make contact with steel. So after the first one I turn, I put it over here and use it to push the other ones up against, so I'm not cutting steel. Hate cutting my own chucks. Then I just that's it. I don't know if you can understand this, but in the last few minutes we've made an accessory for your lathe that you can't buy because it's custom made for your needs. Someone said, how big can you make them? I have them 6 inches across. Yeah, just took the 3/4 10 tap, tapped into the center of a piece, put it on the piece, shaped it up to fit exactly into the end of a piece that I want to flip around. Now, threads are in there. I've treated them with super glue. They're well done. This is a little bit long, which means I can cut it a whole lot. And I mean, that's 1 inch and 1/8 deep, right? I got 2.5 inches here. I can go way back here by reshaping this thing and won't hurt it. That is a soft touch. You do know you're a wood turner, a true wood turner, when you hear a chainsaw in the neighborhood and you know you want to go look and see if there's some wood for you. I went over there to take out a big hackberry with great spelting. I want to block for a hat. but there's too much hollering and cursing and screaming at workers and everything else, because that guy is over what he can handle. I don't want to log from there. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be near it, because when something goes wrong, they'll say, why don't y'all ask Eddie? Eddie was here. The captain was by. But I got enough going on right now. Nice little soft touch. Like I said, when you make them, make a dozen or so. And if you got guys in your wood turning group or your wood shed or whatever, make a few and give them to them. They'd really appreciate it. This is a simple project that makes a simple accessory much more than it ever started out to be. And I'm glad you joined me today as we've been making shavings. You take care. Oh yeah, by the way, I'll put a list of the items or whatever right behind this, so if you need to go shopping, you'll know what they are. And it's going to be a 3 5/8 inch drill bit and a tap and wood. I'm Captain Eddie. You take care now. Wood. God, that's driving me crazy. I so much want to log from there. Hey, I hope that list helped you out a little bit when you go shopping. And remember to talk to your guy at Ace Hardware. If he says, I don't have those taps, he's got about a 4-foot long catalog on his desk. Say, will you please look it up for me? And if I buy one, you get it in, I'll tell my wood turning buddies they can get it here, and you'll be able to sell more than one. They're in the business of sell. They're up against the big box stores, and you're not going to find that in the big orange or blue suited box store. It's not going to be there. So check your hardware. Hope it helped you out. And if you need any more help and you're looking for a great deal on carbide cutters, sharpening devices, and a lot more, check out my website, www.eddiecastellan.com. I've got the cutters and I've got the prices. Take care.